Salutations, ladies and gentlemen, this is MazezRealm once again, and welcome to another episode of The Arsenal. For this episode, I'm going to be talking about a really special weapon in that it is the first DLC weapon ever to be launched in a Call of Duty game, and that is the Peacekeeper SMG. Now, don't let the name fool you. Although it is in the submachine gun category, this weapon is actually basically an assault rifle with really high mobility. So that in mind, we're making a loadout here that will actually play to the strengths of medium to long range firefights and the strengths of the Peacekeeper in general. So because of that, we've got 3 attachments, and in order to do that, we need to use the primary gunfighter wildcard so that we can have 3 attachments. And the 3 attachments that we're using here are the suppressor, the laser sight, and fast mags. Now, the laser sight works primarily well in close quarter situations because you don't really have to aim down sights, and the Peacekeeper has the accuracy of all the other SMGs when it comes to hipfire. So the laser sight really works well in close quarters combat, and that's why we're using that. For fast mags, the reload is not particularly slow on the Peacekeeper, but since it only has a 30-round magazine, the fast mag attachment works really well with this SMG. Now, for the remainder slots on our Pick 10 system here, we're using the Perk 2 greed in order to stack up Scavenger and Toughness, and for our first tier perk, we're using Ghost, and for our third tier perk, we are using the Dead Silence perk, which really helps us maintain that stealth loadout that we want to maintain with this weapon. So now we're moving on to the gameplay on Drone is the map that we're playing on here, and I'm using the CE Digital camo on the Peacekeeper. I know that a lot of you have been asking me what camo I use on all of my weapons on all of my episodes of the Arsenal, and that is my absolute favorite camo, with the exception of gold and diamond on some weapons. But it is the most unique camo in that you have to basically purchase the hardened or prestige edition of the game in order to unlock this camo. So I run it on every single one of my weapons, and it is unlocked at level 1 of all of your weapons. So that is a really cool, unique property to this camo. But anyway, on to the gameplay at hand. Remember that the Peacekeeper is actually not the best weapon when it comes to close quarters gunfights. It does well from the hip, but since it has such a high rate of fire, I tend to actually fire from the hip first and then aim down sights to finish the enemy. And that works really well because of the fact that the enemy's already flinching when you start firing from the hip, and then when you aim down sights, you basically finish them off. So if they do get a weird shot off and they do damage you in some way, that is the whole reason for using the toughness perk in order for us to not flinch as much and to finish off the enemy very quickly. So all those things combined make this class very deadly in most situations that you'll run into enemies. So the only time that you'll have issues with the Peacekeeper is at really long ranges where assault rifles usually reign supreme. In those particular cases, obviously you'll lose some firefights, but that's the whole reason why we're using toughness. It is just so that we can flinch less when the enemy is actually shooting at us, and that will definitely help with that. Also, Ghost keeps us off the mini-map so that we can take those long flank routes and actually get to the areas that we're trying to get to. Now, as far as the point streaks that you should use, it's really up to you and how comfortable you feel with the Peacekeeper. The Peacekeeper is a unique weapon because a lot of people really dislike the weapon if you're not used to the role that it plays in the submachine gun category. But if you get used to the mobility of it and use it as an assault rifle, people love the weapon. So you'll see a lot of mixed reviews when it comes to the Peacekeeper. In my personal opinion, I think the Peacekeeper is a phenomenal weapon because it does play like an assault rifle, except that it gives you that really high mobility, so you don't have to use the adjustable stock or quick draw if you don't want to. You can actually just worry about using it as a really mobile assault rifle. Now, there are tons of classes that you can use when using the Peacekeeper, but personally, this was my favorite. I had the best matches with the Peacekeeper when I used it this way. Another way you can use it is in a complete stealth loadout. And when I did use it as a stealth loadout, I used the Ghost Perk, Blind Eye, Cold-Blooded, Scavenger, and Dead Silence, and I only used the suppressor with the laser sight. So it was similar, but it was primarily used for complete stealth. That was another loadout that I used. However, it's not the loadout that I used for this episode of the Arsenal because I had better matches with this loadout. So I wanted to recommend the absolute best loadout that I could for you guys to benefit by using the Peacekeeper. And just keep in mind that when you're using the Peacekeeper, you have to navigate the map as if you were using an assault rifle. I believe I already mentioned that, but I really wanted to reiterate that statement because it's going to be really important to keep that in mind. You definitely don't want to be rushing the enemy unnecessarily. And because of that, I decided to not use dexterity in this class. I'm a huge fan of dexterity, and dexterity works really well on all of the submachine guns. And I actually use it a lot on submachine guns in combination with Dead Silence. But with this weapon, you definitely want to play more cautiously. So I made it so that it just played to the strengths of the attachments of the Peacekeeper, because once you unlock those 3 attachments that I'm using on this weapon is a formidable weapon to use in most gunfights that are at medium and long range. And that's really, really cool. And it's a really cool and unique weapon to have as a DLC content drop. I'm sure that Treyarch was really thinking hard of how they could make this weapon unique to any other weapon in the game, and I think they actually did a really good job balancing the weapon so that it's not overpowered, but it's not underpowered as well. So that's a really, really good thing. And here I'm losing some gunfights to people that are actually set up with long-range weapons. But you see that I'm navigating to flank on the backside of the map, and I primarily got most of the guys that I went up against. Now here, this was a close quarters gunfight, so I really had to be careful, but I knew that I could be somewhat aggressive because I was using the toughness perk, so that really made that firefight a little bit easier. And now I picked up his weapon because I just wanted to get revenge with his FAL. I was just really irritated at this guy just camping with the FAL and the target finder, so I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. So I went ahead and switched to that weapon so that I could pick him off at longer ranges, and I ended up getting the revenge kill, which was a lot of fun. And I think I ended up getting a few more kills with the FAL, but primarily I got most of my kills with the Peacekeeper. And I really, really sincerely hope that you guys have enjoyed using the Peacekeeper so far. I know that a lot of people have been complaining about how everybody's using the Peacekeeper in all of the DLC maps, but can you really blame people for wanting to use this weapon and get better with it? I really can't. It's not like it's a weapon that wins every gunfight, and you can still use all the other weapons in the game and compete, but the Peacekeeper is so cool, it's so unique, and it's just a really fun weapon to use. And I just had to make an episode for this weapon. And I'm actually really curious to see also what other weapons they're going to be releasing on DLC. If they're going to bring weapons that have been fan favorites in the past, or if they're just going to keep 2 unique weapons to Black Ops 2. That will be fun to see what they do. I'm actually really hoping that they actually bring back fan favorites. I would not mind seeing the FAMAS back. That would be a really cool weapon to see again. The G36C and the other weapons that come with that platform. It would just be really cool to see what Treyarch has up their sleeve for the rest of the DLC weapons. So that pretty much wraps up this episode of the Arsenal, where I cover the Peacekeeper. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please watch the previous video that I did on the Scar H. That episode really, really did well, and a lot of you enjoyed it, so check that video out if you haven't already. Also, if you would like to check out a similar series to this one, you could check out my Keys to Success series that does really, really well on my channel. You guys should check that out as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can easily do that by clicking on the subscribe button on the top right. Also, please be sure to check out my Twitter at MazezRealm. That is on the top left corner there. And if you want to check out the rest of my playlists on my channel, you can do that by clicking on the MazezRealm icon there on the bottom of your screen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until next time, this has been MazezRealm. I'm out.